Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Dr. Sara Whittingham. I was recently appointed as one of the people with Parkinson's to the NIH Advisory Council for the National Plan to End Parkinson's. And I recently published a book that just went live on Amazon yesterday titled, "Oh Crap, It's Parkinson's." I have some copies if anyone wants to take a look. Between 1995 and 2000, less than 1,000 women total graduated from the United States Air Force Academy. I was one of them. One of the others was my friend, Dr. Jenna Reed. Jenna and I ran track together. We both went on to medical school. We both served over 20 years in the Air Force as Air Force physicians. We both deployed to Afghanistan. And in 2020, in the same month, we were both diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Then we found Erica Nitschke. Erica graduated a few years after us and was diagnosed at an even younger age. Less than 1,000 women, and at least 3 cases, 3 of us have young onset Parkinson's disease. 2 physicians and 1 aerospace engineer. When something like that happens, you start asking questions. Before medical school, I served at Kelly Air Force Base as an aircraft maintenance officer, which was a maintenance depot where aircraft and engines were sent from around the world for overhaul. Years later, through FOIA requests, I learned something I never knew while working there. Beneath the building where I worked was a shallow underground plume of an industrial solvent, trichloroethylene, or TCE. At the time, that water was measuring more than 60,000 times higher than the EPA safety limits. When I was stationed there, the civilian workers who had been there for years warned me not to drink the water. They told me that in their small community, they had seen over 100 cases of ALS. At the time, it never occurred to me that I might also have been breathing those chemicals in every day at work. Our country has invested an enormous amount of resources in my education. They paid for college, medical school, anesthesia residency, years of clinical training and experience, and I no longer practice medicine. Many veterans diagnosed with Parkinson's disease are now fighting 2 battles. One against the disease itself, and another simply to have our illnesses recognized as connected to our military service. Despite my service history, it took 5 years of appeals, the help of my congressmen and attorneys, before the VA recognized my Parkinson's disease as connected to my military service. I'm a physician, and I have a pretty good idea of how the VA worked. Most veterans do not have the time, the energy, or the expertise to fight that fight, and they shouldn't have to. One of the things that makes our military so strong is that it is an all-volunteer force. There has been no draft in over 50 years. An all-volunteer force works because of a simple promise. Service members accept risk in defense of our country, and in return, the nation commits to care for us if we are harmed in that service, as a result of that service. But when veterans must fight for years just to have our illnesses recognized, that trust is fractured. I have 2 daughters. I have dreamt that they might want to someday follow in my footsteps and attend the United States Air Force Academy. They learned the Air Force fight song alongside nursery rhymes. So last year, when my daughter asked about applying to the Air Force Academy, and I found myself discouraging her, it broke my heart. I'm proud of my service, but I'm also a mother who wants my daughters to be safe. And our military is not doing enough to prevent toxic exposures for our current and future service members. The EPA's ban on TCE has a 10-year phase-out period for the Department of Defense. How is it okay to still allow our service members to be exposed to these chemicals? When I reached out to Jenna and Erica, Jenna has 2 daughters, Erica has 2 daughters, and none of them will be serving in our military. When veterans begin discouraging our own children from military service, that becomes a national security crisis. Our military needs the best and the brightest, and I assure you, the next generation is watching. One of the greatest gifts of my Parkinson's journey has been the Parkinson's community itself. People I likely never would have met artists, engineers, farmers, welders, people from every walk of life who have found strength in standing together. In my book, there is a character named Twitchy McGrit. He looks like none of us so that he can represent all of us. And he always wears red and white striped socks, hence my stylish socks. As a reminder to embrace our twitchiness and our quirks, and to stand proud together and break the stigma surrounding Parkinson's disease. Because when we share our stories, we make it easier for those who follow us. That spirit is what brings us together for this forum. This is a bigger issue than any one of us, and as we work towards a cure, we also have a responsibility to live fully today, to hold our heads high, and to let this community lift us all up. Because when we come together and we share our stories, when we refuse to fight this disease alone, we become far more powerful. The greatest victory we may ever achieve is one for which we will never be thanked, and that is that we end Parkinson's disease so our future generations don't have to fight this fight. The experts we're about to hear from will walk us through the science, the evidence, the data, and the trends. I'm simply here to remind us that behind those numbers are people like me, like Jenna, like Erica, and countless others, and even many who have not yet been diagnosed. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Carolyn Tanner, Dr. Deborah Corey-Schlechter, and Roy Dorsey was supposed to be here, but his flight was canceled, and unfortunately is not able to make it. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the stage, Grant Cole, Dr. Caroline Tanner, Dr. Deborah Corey-Schlechter, and Dr. Bradford Casey.